Daytona 500 is about to get underway. Everyone rolls off the grid to get set and ready for 500 miles. Buckle up, go grab a snack real quick, grab your favorite drink, come back, sit down, enjoy the race. So this is going to be a long one. Most races are not going to take this long. Most videos are not going to be this long. This is a special race for the Daytona 500. All on the line. Some of the best names the sport has ever seen, like DJ Kurtis, like Jesse Turner, car 17. He's starting back here mid-pack. Many great drivers in the Sony Cup Series history, like Dajon Weeks as well. Just never won the Daytona 500. Now, there's a lot of drivers on this grid that have won the Great American Race. Most races are 150 miles. We're running 500 miles today. This is a true endurance test. Richard Johnson. We went through all those names just then. Richard Johnson, 25 starts. Him and Luke Martin. Martin's on the caboose, and Richard's going to be leading the field. So, neither one of those champions of the sport have won the Daytona 500. Cody Lamas on the outside has. Dylan Schwallenberg's never won the 500. Vince Freeze only recently won his first race last season. Davison there, Jake Bassinger. Last year's 500 winner is Jake Bassinger. We are green for the 2023 season, the first points-paying race of the next gen. Now, how aggressive is the field going to be for today's race? Richard Johnson, he's got a fast race car. You know, he won pole by almost a tenth or two over most everybody. So in a line all by himself, he's fast. In the pack, he's fast because he won his qualifying race. Cody Lamas did not win his qualifying race. It was Dylan Schwallenberg. Schwallenberg has won everything there is to win for him in races so far this Speed Weeks. The first lap of the 2023 season is led by Richard Johnson, and the first accident of the day, Peter on Jack. This is not going to end well. Big crash. Dylan Schwallenberg's in it. Jake Bassinger's in it. Jesse Turner's in it. And like that, the race has changed dramatically. Matthew Rodriguez, for dramatic effects, just flips over Peter Onjak, and Onjak in the 4 did not slow down at all. He's going to be called to the hauler after that. And before he gets to the hauler, he's going to have to go to the hospital because that looked like it hurt. Oval Jacob Hart, who has not won a race since 2016, just left rears Peter Onjak. Hart's a 2-time 500 winner, and he's going to have to make smarter moves than that if he wants to win this Daytona 500. He somehow got away without major incident, and a lot of these guys going to get minimum damage with the 4 car. Peter Onjak definitely going to be out of the race in this one, and it looks as though Jesse Turner in the 17 is going to have to get towed back to the pits. Logan Cloud struggling to get back underway. I think he's going to, but it's Jesse Turner stuck on the apron. Wow. So, it happens that fast. The Daytona 500. I mean, wow. And Zayden Davidson's going to lead it. A very questionable move by Jacob Hart to make it 4 wide, completing lap 1. I don't think a lot of his competitors are going to be very pleased with him. Jack, honestly, first race with Mitsubishi, and, well, he leans over on Cabs, but opens the inside of Hart. But Hart is a champion, a 2-time champion, and a 2-time 500 champion. So he's a very experienced driver, but Peter Onjak just never lifts, and that's a heavy impact. And honestly, really hope Peter Onjak's going to be all right with that, because that could be an injury, and that was a heavy, heavy hit. Jack's on board. He gives room to Jacob Hart, but he does cut over right here as they exit the Tri-Oval. And Peter Onjak here never lifts. That's a heavy impact, and that sounds like it was very bad. All things being serious for a moment, that was a big hit for Peter Onjak, and we hope he's all right. He's going to be treated in the medical center on the inside of the track, and Onjak will wait for news for him, and we'll probably get an update post-race on Peter Onjak's condition. I mean, everyone's kind of topping off the fuel. Jacob Hart in the 84, I mean, already on the radio calling, apologizing for making an aggressive move. He thought he could make it work, but Peter Onjak cut over in front of him. So Jacob Hart, very apologetic on the radio when talking about turning Peter Onjak there. But when we're coming back to the green, it'll be Jacob Hart that will be the leader, and a lot of different strategies as far as what to do. I mean, we only did one lap of green. I mean, technically two when we race back to the line, but still, we have a long ways to go, and Peter Onjak's car out of the race. Towed back to the pits, Jesse Tunner automatically lost 2 laps. 2 laps under caution. He's coming back to restart on the inside. There was a lot of talk before the race about whether or not lucky dogs should be allowed, which is a new rule implemented for the Hardee's National Series and the Napa Truck Series, but they ultimately went against it. Jesse Turner's got to run and gets hit by Davidson. What is this race so far? I mean, we got 500 miles to do, and we are almost wrecking for no reason for a lot of these accidents. But Jesse Tunner in car 17, you know, he's got a ton of damage there. Well, Jacob Hart leads the race. I think Turner was just trying to get up there to Jacob Hart, really wanted to try and fight to get his lap back, but that car is going to struggle to keep up with the pace. A lot of cars have minimum damage, but for the most part, everyone kind of got through that one okay. And so minimal damage, if any, for a lot of these drivers. This is a tough race. This is a tough race car that can withstand a lot of contact out there. And well, Peter Onjak, we hope for the best for him, because that was a very nasty hit. It was only lap 2 of the race, and we're already making moves like that. Time Daytona 500 champions Jacob Hart and Dom Capps lead the Great American Race. The 27th annual Daytona 500 is brought to you by Coke. Just kidding, not sponsored by anything, but Raise Energy. Very beautiful race paint scheme here for Team Velocity this season. Dom Capps, we've talked about it a little bit in the offseason and somewhat this Speed Weeks, but Dom Capps, Team Velocity, that organization very pumped about what could happen this season. It's been a while since Dom Capps has been very competitive. Many people believe that he's not as good as he once was, but he's a champion of the sport. He runs really well when he was at Martin Motorsports. And well, tapped to drive the flagship Mitsubishi car for the 6. And his teammates out of the race. A shame, really. Going to finish dead last. And well, Capps could find victory lane today. Jacob Hart too, and I think that's why Jacob Hart's very aggressive. You know, he's got a good race car underneath of him, the 84. And he wants to win badly. It's been since 2016 at Talladega since he's found victory lane. And Zayden Davidson, you know, winless last season for Davidson. And, well, he's to the inside looking for the race lead. Sean Harple, Bobo Jones. The running order's really mixed up here. But Jesse Tunner actually looks pretty competitive. You know, he spun, but he had minimum damage. And if he could have got going, he could have still fought for the win. He still can, but he's got to do an Eric DeMax from last season. He's got to get all 2 of his laps back. And to get 1 is challenging, but you got to get 2 laps back. He leads the inside groove. Davidson leads the 500. He's going to try and play both sides of the lines. Some damage from that first accident. I thought he was going to be able to get away okay, but Lamas is slow, Jeffrey White's off the pace, and Jake Bassinger, one of the favorites to win the Great American Race. They are off the pace. I figured Lamas, Bassinger, and Kurtis, or that the Kurtis Racing 11 car of Jeffrey White, I thought all of these would be favorites to win the Great American Race, but now they are off the pace. It looks as though that's going to really hinder their chances all day today. But at the front of the pack, it is still Davidson. But here comes Dajon Weeks, another favorite to win the Daytona 500. He's been so close so many times. And here he comes to the inside, looking to lead early on. On lap 13 it was when they crank their engines and fire off and roll off the grid for the Daytona 500. As long as you're not in any accidents, if you have good pit stops and you stay in the lead pack, you can find yourself fighting for the race win in the Great American Race, the Super Bowl of stock car racing. And that is what is so special about the Daytona 500. It's the endurance race, the most special event, and anybody can really win it. Now, when we go to the rest of the 19 race schedule, maybe 18 if you think about Talladega as well, it's going to be mighty difficult for teams to think that they can really win. 4 wide again. We talked about how Thursday that just doesn't work, but we're going to do it anyway on lap 16. I think that makes sense, but these drivers very aggressive. They're going to be all day today. There's probably going to be a big one. You have to be able to miss the big one. The big one is very important in the Daytona 500. Where is it going to come? Is it going to come at the front, the back, the middle? Where? What part of the racetrack? In my opinion, turn 2 is going to be the Achilles heels for these drivers today. Steer clear of traffic. If you want to be ahead of all the accidents, be up front in the lead. You got to be up front in the lead. Hanging back is just never a good idea. I know there's theorists that say if you hang back, you can miss the accidents. Yeah, maybe if you're 10, 15, 20 seconds behind the pack, but if you're 2-3 seconds back, you still may pile into the accident and make it worse. But, I mean, if you really want to be ahead of all the chaos that is today, you need to get up there and lead the race. And look at the Monster Energy racing cars. They are leading first, third, and fourth, but no longer. Sony Shootout winner and Gatorade Duel winner. Dylan Schwallenberg. Oh, Bobby Jones. Jones making it 3 wide with a push from DJ Kurtis. Samuel England from 39th. You see him down at the bottom. Bobby Jones is going to take the race lead. There's Cal Farrell. He's also started back there with England. And how about Diego Yepes? We talked about Sanders Performance Autosport, some of these smaller teams. There's Hannah Allen there on the bottom, then the 88 car. Anybody could theoretically win this race, but teams like that 77, the 88, that 70, Edward Ziemba, they're wanting to finish in the top 10 today. New point system. If you wreck, it's not that big a deal like it is in seasons past. If you wreck out, finish dead last, not as big of a deal as it was in the past because points was granted to every car that started. Only top 10 starters, only top 10 finishers will end up getting points. So for these smaller teams that may not get a top 10 all season, this is their opportunity to capitalize. And Yepes crossed the line last lap in the top 10, which is very big for that organization. As we come up on lap traffic, Cody Lamas has been hovering around the minimum speed limit, and interesting to see what the FBRL may do for Lamas because he is like right on the minimum speed target. Lamas, outside pole sitter, not the day Cody Lamas really wanted to have. You know, with only top 10 drivers getting points, you know, it may be like, why is Cody Lamas even out there right now? Why would he even continue to race if he's this far off the pace? Well, yeah, if he can't hang with the pack after this, there's probably a good chance Cody Lamas and Kurtis Racing pack up and go home themselves if they can't stay in this lead pack after the fact. But the thing is, if there's a big one, which there will be, I'm almost certain there's going to be a big one at some point in this Daytona 500. Will Cody Lamas be in it? Will he miss it? Is he going to have minimum damage compared to everybody else? Is he going to be faster than most people after the big one that has damage out there? We do not know. Lamas is, you know, pretty slow considering all things. Wasn't able to hang with the leaders, but I mean, granted, everybody else has very minimal to no damage. So Lamas has a lot of damage from being in that first accident, and he's really falling through the pack. So if he can't keep up with the pack after this, he'll probably pull it in and call it a day, because if he can't hang in right here, there's probably no chance to score points. But you never really know with the Daytona 500 because it's such a long race, and you know there's going to be accidents, and if you steer clear of them, you may find yourself in the top 10. It happened last season. We saw Dajon Weeks have been in an accident. He finished in the top 10. Same thing with Jordan Fisher. I mean, it happens. You can somehow finish in the top 10. Dylan Schwallenberg, Richard Johnson, some of the fastest cars today, couldn't go anywhere behind Lamas, and they free-falled through the field. Aiden Shepard, Jake Bassinger, Jeffrey White, they're a little faster, so they're not able to hang with the lead pack right now, but same thing. They're just out there trying to avoid any crashes that may happen. DJ Kurtis leads the field. They're 4 wide, and the big crash may happen off turn 2, like I keep talking about, because that's where the danger part is, where a lot of accidents happen. So far, it's been relatively clean, other than the first lap incident at the front. A lot has kind of changed hands. A lot has happened. We're on lap 32. The race is kind of going by in a hurry. Cody Lamas and the 48 in the team, they are calling it a day. Packing up, can't hang it with the lead pack. They decide they're just going to head to Dubai for round 2 of the 2023 season and start their season there. Outside front row just got taken out on lap 2. I mean, stuff happens, and the Daytona 500 can be cruel sometimes, but he's a previous winner of this race, and he knows the highs that come with winning the Daytona 500. Somebody's going to experience that high. Somebody's going to make all 200 laps and come across the line first, and that feeling's going to feel euphoric, whatever word you want to use for it. Eric DeMax leading the field for Joseph Strigley Racing is probably the biggest surprise. But James Fox on the 34, he's come from a little ways back in the field. But Monster Energy Racing and Joseph Strigley Racing, their alliance has been very tightly aligned for this season, working together. And, you know, Monster Energy Racing was a big part in getting Eric DeMax to come over to drive for Joseph Strigley Racing for this season. He was supposed to drive the 8 car for CM Racing, which turned to Shea Piñaco Racing, which now has Charles Sanford behind the wheel. Sanford, this could be one of his best chances to win the 500. You see him just outside of the top 10. Luke Martin, who started on the back row of the grid for Flipside Motorsports, there he is, creeping his way forward. As you can see, Diego Yepes in the 77 is the last car in this lead pack, so 36 cars are in the lead pack while we come up on lap traffic. Jeffrey White, Jake Bassinger, they do have damage from lap 1's accident, lap 2 accident. Aiden Shepard also looks like he's going to go a lap down. But the field's going to charge right up to the back of them. There's Bassinger and Jeffrey White blocking their lines, doing what they got to do. 4 wide back there for about 10th place. Stinson, the rookie, bouncing off each other. There's a crash. Lap cars dictating the race. Cal Farrell spins. A big accident. Kurtis again in the Daytona 500. No luck. Allen in the 88 gets spun around. Diego Yepes hits the 88. Well. And DJ Kurtis can't find any luck. That bad luck transitions into 2023's Daytona 500. And Dylan Schwallenberg, you have to take a replay, see what happened to him. I don't see a whole lot of damage. There's Dom Capps has damage. He spun around. Wow. They stayed on the lead lap. Can you believe that? Aiden Shepard, Jay Bassinger, Jeffrey White. That's exactly why they were blocking. It caused an accident for sure, but they blocked and they stayed on the lead lap. What happened? Marchese went to make it 4 wide. And, well, Stinson pushed into Eves, and the rookies are in the middle, so it was hard for them to kind of keep it straight. And then they all kind of started crashing into each other. And, well, Allen kind of slid back up the track. If Hannah Allen could have kept it straight, we would have saved a couple cars from getting wrecked there. But she was spinning. But for the 10 and the 6, I'm going to have to see how much damage they actually have. I mean, they're a little further back mid-pack, you see. And, well, Capps actually got rear-ended by Diego Yepes, and Dylan Schwallenberg actually hit Sean Harple, who had spun right there. So very minimal damage, but some back-end damage for Dom Capps, too. Diego Yepes, watch the thinking of this young driver. Diego Yepes, he sees the accident, goes the inside, and thinks, I can make up a couple of positions here. Yep, and Dom Capps comes down trying to miss an accident. Runs over Dom Capps, and then doesn't even really lift for Hannah Allen spinning. And now, this car's probably going to be out of the race. I don't know yet, though, but we're going to have to wait and see what these pit crews do to try and salvage their race. When leaving off pit road, Eric DeMax is going to leave with the race lead off of pit road. Dylan Young for Spartan has surprised in Speed Weeks. You know, top 5 in the Sony shootout. And now Spartan Motorsports, you know, Dylan Young's a Daytona 500 champion. He could very well try to get this team a top 10 finish and score some points. That would be massive for them, because many people believe that there's not going to be more than 32 drivers with top 10s this season. And if that happens, you know, a top 10 would, you know, lock your charter in terms of points if there's not more than, you know, 3 cars that are chartered that don't get top 10s. But anyway, we'll keep an eye on some of these guys like Dylan Young and team that are going to be underdogs, that are going to be competing for the race wins. Jesse Tunner, we talked about how he's a lap down, 2 laps down, trying to get his lap backs. There's Luke Martin there too. We're going to get back to the restart. 40 of 200. Everyone for their dual qualifiers, for their qualifying races, they did 50 laps, and they did 20 laps for the Sony shootout. So everyone's kind of had just a little bit of running for the Daytona 500. But 200 laps, that is a long time compared to what these drivers are used to. Usually, these Sony Cup Series drivers will run 150 miles, which would be the equivalent of 60 laps in this race. They're going to have to go another 160 laps to finish out this one. We got a lot of drivers that could upset today. You know, Dylan Young's in the top 5 for this restart, dropping back on the restart, though. Edward Ziemba trying to give Anjado their first ever start in the Daytona 500, trying to get a top 10 result. He's in the top 10 for this restart. Teammates Cole Baker and Will Goss not willing to work together right now. Goss blocks Dajon Weeks, getting a push from him. The Mercedes trying to work together with James Sorafox. England, he started on the back row, split. I mean, field's kind of spreading out just a little bit. You know, there was cars that got damaged, you know. DJ Kurtis and Dylan Schwallenberg and Dom Counts, we all wondered how fast they would be after the accident. It looks as though they're going to be kind of off the pace just a little bit. That's a shame for them because they really wanted to win this Daytona 500, and it looks as though that chance is gone. Oh, that Jeffrey White blew up or something. Jeffrey White, yep. He came down pit road and it said he had an engine failure, but no smoke came out the back, but that car is out of the race, and White will be out along with his teammate Kurtis Racing. It was a very bad day for them in the office in the Daytona 500. None of their race cars managed to complete more than 43 laps. A couple of Mercedes that are leading the pack in the Daytona 500. Will Goss, you know, he didn't finish all that well in his twin qualifying race, and I think the goal for Goss was to come into this race and try and get a top 10, score some points, and start the year off right. But I mean, you never know. This team might have the idea that they want to go out there and win the Daytona 500. I mean, they're running up here in the middle line, being pushed by Edward Ziemba and Dylan Young. Just look at those first 3 cars in the middle groove, and that just tells you the kind of race we're going to have for this Daytona 500. It's really anybody's chance today. You just got to put yourself in good position and know where to put your car in the draft. Pit strategy will be very important. You may get pit stops that are green flag runs, and if you do, you got to be able to stay in the lead pack. You have to get on and off pit road fast. You can't be left behind. Bobo Jones, upstart from the Hardy's National Series, done very well for them. Patrick Smith won a Hardy's race last season, and he's pushing Bobo Jones to the front. And it's Dajon Weeks that leads the 500. Lap 50, Diego Yepes and team for Sanders Performance Autosport has been black flagged by the FBRL for not reaching minimum speed. He's going to have to come down pit road and retire. Though it's not really changed a whole lot. You know, you still see Dajon Weeks leading the race, but here comes Vince Freeze. Freeze is kind of proven to be a really good super speedway racer. Had a top 5. His first top 5 was at Talladega. His first win came at Talladega, and now here in the Daytona 500, he almost won his twin qualifying race. And now he's just taking the lead from Dajon Weeks. Weeks' teammate, Richard Johnson, getting pushed by a good friend of Cole Baker. And Richard Johnson, possibly one of the favorites to win the Great American Race today, was really fast, single car speed, won his qualifying race over Vince Freeze. And how about Baker? That Flipside Motorsports car has some speed now. His teammate Luke Martin is just a couple cars behind. Well, there's a few cars behind this pack that's actually showing to have some potential to keep up with the pack. Schwallenberg, Cloud, Kurtis, Caps, Bassinger, and Allen, they're just barely hanging on. They've been barely hanging on. Sean Harpo's lost the pack, but it's Richard Johnson peeking out ahead that's going to take the race lead. We're a little over a quarter of the way through the Daytona 500. We're continuing to be dominated by these two, Vince Freeze, Dajon Weeks. But what is very surprising to me, Richard Johnson, he took a lot of damage in that first crash, or actually the second crash. And here he is, car 37, going for the lead, trying to push his teammate to the lead. And Richard Johnson, 25th attempt in the Daytona 500. I think it might be his 26th attempt. Can't quite remember. Richard Johnson's been a part of a lot of them. This is his 26th attempt to win the Great American Race. And, well, took damage, hit the wall when all that crashing happened, and he's still got a ton of speed here. Dylan Young in the 07 getting pushed by Patrick Smith, who was also involved in that same crash that I'm talking about on the back straightaway. So these cars really hold up very well and allow us for some contact, and you're still able to keep up with the pack. Dylan Schwallenberg, you see him, he's spun around, and he's back in the lead pack. Same with Dom Katz, Matt Rodriguez as well, and DJ Kurtis is in this field as well. But Logan Cloud and Jake Bassinger, they have lost the pack. Same with Hannah Allen, Sean Harple. But nobody's had anything so far for Vince Freeze. We're just 2 laps shy of 150 miles complete. And, well, that would usually be the normal race distance, but we have a long ways to go. Shelley with Jacob Hart is going to take the race lead. So the season 17 Daytona 500 champion has arrived and is going to be in the race lead in command. Shelley's always been a very good restrictor plate racer. Look at Dylan Young, though. Looked like he wanted to try and make a pass on Will Goss. Very hesitant on that move. Tucks back in line. That could have been an accident. Jacob Hart, made a lot of noise by causing that accident with Peter Onjack on lap 1. He's got some hood damage there, but gets pushed to the middle. Here comes Dajon Weeks to the inside. Silver Fox got help from Will Goss. They're going to go up the middle on Joseph Strictly there. But James Shelley is going to be one to contend with. Had a tough little race in the Twin 125. He had speed there. But here comes Jacob Hart in a one-off attempt. Could Jacob Hart win the Daytona 500? He's out front, and he's taking the race lead. Silver Fox literally went from the middle down to the bottom, crosses over in front of Dajon Weeks just to get a nose underneath of Jacob Hart. That was very impressive. Silver Fox has a bad, fast Mercedes. He's pushing up. And this could be very bad. Turn 2. It's just never worked with 4 cars. More wide, crashing. Jacob Hart, Silver Fox. This is the big one on the back straightaway, part 2. Baker's around, Shelley's around, Bobby Jones piles in. We got a big wad of cars stacked up on the back straightaway. Lap 62 and more cars piling in. Talked about it earlier. You could be 10 seconds back and still pile in. A lot of cars getting more minimum damage, more damage added on. We were just talking about how fast James Silver Fox's car was, making a very aggressive move. Car just slipped and slides, and he went off the racetrack. Some cars gonna have to make a trip down pit road. Wow, this race was looking very good, looking very promising, but just past the 150-mile mark, they wadded up on the back straightaway yet again, and it's the big one. Not as big as I thought it was going to be. Many cars got away with it fine, but it could have been much worse. Turn 4. Silver Fox makes this great move to cut in front of Weeks to get that momentum on the bottom. and to try and take the lead. But watch this. Watch this as he goes into turn 1. Jacob Hart, Shelley's up top, but the push, actually I think Weeks might have bumped Silver Fox. He was all over the back end and just contact. Maybe Weeks leaned into Silver Fox, maybe not, but they were so close it just never really looked like it was going to work. Bobby Jones almost got through. Mitchell Collins got some damage, but very minimal damage for some of these guys as they checked up for everyone else. And then Bassinger runs right over Eves at the very end. So a lot of cars had to try and miss this accident. It's Freeze. He was just behind it, and you see Weeks didn't touch him, but Silver Fox and Hart, they're leaning on one another, and Silver Fox is trying to give Weeks some room. Shrigley almost made it through. This car is going to get away with minimum damage. He's going to be able to continue on. The race leaders, Will Goss for Flipside Motorsports. And surprisingly, I mean, nobody fell out after that. I mean, we're still racing with 38 cars on the racetrack, 37 are on the lead lap. Some have damage, you know, but it's not as severe. A lot of people were able to check up. It was a lot of bumping and beating, but nobody really buckled their hood all that bad. Nobody got the rear end all messed up from checking up, other than, you know, Jay Bassinger running over Shade Eves. But Will Goss, they did come down, change tires and gas. Will Goss is the leader over Dajon Weeks, Edward Ziemba for Anjato, and Dylan Young and, you know, Patrick Smith. They're all inside the top 10 for this restart. This could be anyone's day for the Daytona 500 to win and score some points, because there's a lot of teams that you wouldn't probably expect, like the 70 car going for the lead. Edward Ziemba, don't even think the 70 car would score top 10s during the season. They haven't ever scored a top 10. But Edward Ziemba, stand up for this man. The Kingsford Toyota for Anjato is going to lead their first ever Sony Cup Series race, and it's the 2023 Daytona 500. Ziemba doesn't really have the car to do it, but he's trying with all his might. DeMaxis, who is inside, you're going to put him in the middle. A fellow slower team, Spartan Motorsports. I wouldn't call these slower teams, but they just don't have the funding and the resources like these other teams do. Anjato and Spartan, they run really well in the Hardy's National Series and the Napa Truck Series, but they're competing against, it's like David and the Goliath right here with some of these other teams. Joseph Shrigley Racing leading the Daytona 500. That's with both cars. Eric Damax and Dane Stinson. Richard Johnson there. That alliance is super good. Richard Johnson, what are you doing? Why are we thinking going to go 4 wide? He tucks right back in. Lap 69, nice. So Stinson leads. Car 96 in the Daytona 500. So rookies leading the race back-to-back with Edward Ziemba and Dane Stinson. Richard Johnson, the pole sitter of the Daytona 500, gets right back to the front. Anthony Marchese just in behind. Bobo Jones behind them. Shrigley, he went spinning. And DJ Kurtis, you know, I thought he was going to lose the draft. I thought he was slow, but he's fighting his way back, trying to get inside the top 10. Sean Perkins has been involved in some accidents. He's there on the bottom of 2. They're going 4 wide again, thinking about it at least. Come on, Bobo, find a way in there. They're 4 wide. Come on. DeMax needs to really give Johnson some room, and he does. Ooh, man. This is a lot of cars still left running in this Daytona 500. And they're looking 4 wide again with Kurtis on the bottom. Kurtis is going to be in another one. Spinning Shrigley. Oh, boy, Kurtis, hang on to it. Caution flag is out. Wow, they didn't wreck. Well, I mean, they didn't wreck any more than what they did. Shrigley gets back on there. No caution. No caution flag for that. Okay. So no yellow flag came out for that. Shrigley just going to get back going. But Shrigley just got turned under. What does KTM on the hood stand for? Kill the man? Because that's what I think Kurtis was trying to do for Shrigley. Because, look at this. Just took his nose to the inside of Shrigley. I mean, both cars, Shrigley and Kurtis, they're hurt. They've been involved in some accidents. And very lucky that when Kurtis merged back up the track, it wasn't as bad as it could have been. But I mean, they're fighting to try and be inside the top 10 and try and get up there to the lead. The race for the 500 is still on for these guys, but for Strigley, he's going to need a yellow and fast. Spread out just a little bit. Anthony Marchese going for the lead in the Daytona 500. Him and Richard Johnson looking for some other guys like Dajon Weeks. They were all real good in the Daytona 500 last season, finishing inside the top 10, but none of them ended up winning the Great American Race. And with Jake Bassinger kind of off the pace here for today's race, it don't look like Jake Bassinger is going to defend the crown of the Daytona 500. It looks like it's going to be somebody else's day, and it might be Richard Johnson, the pole sitter. He's got a quick car. He's got about 2 or 3 car lengths over the next car, Dajon Weeks, who was his teammate. If you're driving a Monster Energy racing car or a Joseph Strigley racing car, you very well could win the Daytona 500 today, but you wouldn't really think from the back row of the grid, Luke Martin for Flipside and Sean Perkins, who has been involved in some accidents, would be up here contesting the lead of this race, but they are. And, well, they don't have the equipment like these other guys, but they are showing that they have the potential to upset today. Weeks to the inside of Johnson. Bobo Jones trying to put car 44 back in the Daytona 500 victory lane yet again. And Bobo pushes Weeks to the lead yet again, and it's on turn 2 where we've seen so many accidents. And again, another wreck on the back straightaway. Sean Perkins, Dane Stinson. Stinson gets hit by Collins. And here comes the second pack. Please don't get hit by anybody. That was almost really bad. Sean Perkins, Dane Stinson are involved in this accident on the back straightaway. 4 wide just is not going to work, and I don't know why they keep trying it. I think England in the 82 actually gets tight. Sanford pushes the envelope, trying to get underneath of him. And for Perkins in the 57, he's trying all he can, but just clips Stinson, spins him for a ride. In front of Edward Ziemba he goes. Mitchell Collins clips him. Cal Farrell again. And Ryan Acosta gets some damage. Farrell's been in pretty much all of them, and luckily nobody slammed into Sean Perkins and Dane Stinson. 500, I mean, a lot of accidents, but everyone's been keeping it kind of clean. It has not been as bad as you would really expect with accidents. Everyone's been getting away with it. Bobo Jones, they did pit. They all came down and pitted. We're on lap 82 of 200, and we're, on the verge of getting to halfway with a lot of cars still capable to win this Daytona 500. Bobo Jones, Anthony Marchese, Allison Liera, Luke Martin, Dajon Weeks, Charles Sanford, Richard Johnson, Eric DeMax, Dylan Schwallenberg, and Dylan Young. That is the top 10 on the restart. That is some names I did not expect to be up here, racing for the lead and being in the top 10. Allison Liera behind Jesse Tunner. And on the restart, look at Richard Johnson. I mean, that guy is determined to go out there and try and win this race. Schwallenberg noses Sanford up the hill, and he's going to go at the middle. Liera for Fisher Motorsports. A lot of people believe that before this season started, Liera possibly would be one of those drivers that would lose their charter at season's end and probably wouldn't score a top 10 at all in the season. But look at here. Fisher Motorsports has Allison Liera peeking out ahead. Allison Liera leads the Daytona 500. We had Edward Ziemba lead the Daytona 500. Now it's Allison Liera with a push from Richard Johnson. Liera in the 22. Going to get another push from Richard Johnson. Just has to come back around and lead at the stripe. This is insane. Bobo Jones and Allison Liera leading the Daytona 500. Will Liera lead at the stripe and get officially a lap led? At the stripe, I think it's Bobo Jones. Yes, it is. But the fact that Allison Liera is fighting for the lead in the Great American Race, didn't even get second to the line. Dajon Weeks had second. And Dylan Schwallenberg, who has been involved in accidents today, I thought he was going to be out of the draft. And Schwallenberg is in the middle line, pushing his way to the front. It's not over, never over till it's over. That's why I was talking about with Lamas earlier. With big ones, you just don't know. You got to keep pushing. You could score points. And never give up attitude. Dajon Weeks is going door to door in the Daytona 500 for the lead with Allison Liera. Did not have that on my bingo card, which I don't even have a bingo card. But Weeks leads over the stripe over Dylan Schwallenberg and Allison Liera. Going for the lead, but it's Richard Johnson with another heck of a run to the inside of both of them. And Richard Johnson takes the lead yet again in the Daytona 500. Weeks in the 30, yet again fighting back with his teammate. Both Weeks and Johnson want this Daytona 500 more than anything for their career. But, I mean, they look so good out there. The fact that Dylan Schwallenberg and Allison Liera and Dylan Young, I'm so surprised with the parity that we're seeing up front. Not necessarily with Schwallenberg, but the fact that he's been involved in an accident and he's up here in the podium position so far. Just goes to show you that this really is just anybody's day here. Looking a little further back, probably back to Sean Perkins, who is realistically going to be in the fight for this 31st. Then Acosta, Cloud, all the way back to Hart, that's barely hanging on. This 35 cars that's got a snip of the lead draft. We'll be coming back to 10 laps to go until we get halfway. 10 laps till halfway. Wow, I mean, we got a lot of cars coming to halfway in this race that have a realistic chance to win the Great American Race. We just did green flag pit stop, so we'll go a while until we pit again. But Weeks got passed by Schwallenberg. Schwallenberg's got a little bit of a run. I don't think Schwallenberg's got that good of a car to be able to lead like he did. But that Rodriguez Racing Camry is quick. And if he can get some pushing assist, but DeMax throws the block on Turner. Remember, Turner is 2 laps down. Trying to get one of those laps back. Has some help from Jesse Turner. Here comes DeMax. DeMax to the inside. The push from the lap car of Jesse Turner. Looks as though Eric DeMax is going to take the lead, but fighting back on the top, it's Richard Johnson. Every year we come down to Daytona, it feels like, and talk about the king, Richard Johnson, who has never won the Great American Race, and all he wants to do is just win the Daytona 500. He comes down for select attempts, part-time races, maybe even one-offs every season, it feels like, since his retirement tour from 2016. Came back full-time in 2021 and 2022. This season, racing in the Hardee's National Series full-time, and only racing a couple of times Sony Cup Series this year. The Daytona 500, of course, was what he wanted to do. We got more than 100 laps of racing to go, and he's looking like one of the best cars out there. He holds off a challenge from Eric DeMax, and yet again trying to fend off a challenge from Eric DeMax, but now Bobo Jones has gotten to the inside of both of them. Dajon Weeks is up there pushing his teammate back to the front. And Richard, every time somebody tries to challenge him, he's able to fight back on the top. But this time it's Bobo Jones downstairs with Anthony Marchese. Zayden Davidson's there too. Bobo Jones, surprisingly, looks very fast. You know, could be a favorite to win. You know, he's up here in the top 5 a lot today. Marchese and Davidson just hanging back. Has James Orfox down there. But, man, Richard Johnson, every time can clear him on the top. Heat to the inside as we come up to halfway in the Great American Race. If anybody can get around that 37, it's going to probably be his teammate, Dajon Weeks, but no help really for the MER cars. Here comes Anthony Marchese, the Red Bull downstairs. First race of the season for both Marchese and Bobo Jones at their new race teams. They're up front challenging. Wow, up top, they just have a great run. Those Monster Energy racing cars can roll that top better than anybody else right now. These tires, when they start to fall off more and more, it's going to be more and more difficult to get around them. Weeks is going to lead as we come to lap 100. Just, yeah, anybody going to try and beat them MER cars today? There are a bunch of monsters out there, I'll tell you. I'm sorry about that. Monster Energy Racing looking very good today. I'm just still very impressed, though, that all the way back to Mitchell Collins in the 43, you know, 32 cars all in the lead pack. 31 really, but 32 still right there in the lead pack. MER, first and second. You're going to have to take the race lead away from one of them. Green flag pit stops, possibly, if we do not get another yellow. We'll have to do 2 more stops at least, if not maybe 3. Richard pulls alongside, but it's Dajon Weeks that leads at the halfway point. Yet again, Eric DeMax has found his way to the inside of both MER cars. That's affiliate teammate. They're 3x3 on back. Everybody just trying to get themselves in position, learn how to get around some of these guys. The runs are not as strong as they are in years past. But it's Weeks on the top, going to try and roll the outside, get some help from the Red Bull of Anthony Marchese. Zayden Davidson's there too. But it's Richard Johnson leads at the stripe. Looks like it's going to play a fair. Here comes Richard Johnson to the back end of Jake Bassinger and Shade Eves. They're blocking the track. Davidson and Wilgoss have made their way up. Oh, Davidson found a way to the inside. Davidson has found a way to the inside. And Zayden Davidson is to the lead, but they're 4 wide with Dajon Weeks. Weeks and Schwallenberg in the middle. This could be very, very bad. They're 4 wide back mid-pack as well. We're going to see another accident. This is not going to work out. Get to the inside, Dylan. Schwallenberg needs to get to the inside, but Dylan Young doesn't really let him. They're 4 wide. Spinning. Dajon Weeks. Oh, not Dajon Weeks. Dylan Schwallenberg spins up the track. Jesse Tunner's in it. Sanford's in it. Schwallenberg spun up the racetrack. How we didn't wreck again is a surprise to me. Racing back to the caution flag. It's going to be Zayden Davidson. But that actually didn't take out as many cars as I thought it would. Dylan Schwallenberg was involved in a couple accidents, involved in another one. Gonna have to see how much damage he actually took from that and if he can be as competitive as he was before that. Allison Liera, very surprising. I thought Young was trying to let him in. I think he was, but just Schwallenberg wasn't going down there. And Schwal got into Bassinger. Bassinger did a heck of a save. Martin rode the wall. Martin's day done, I think, competing for the 500. Just not sure yet. We're going to have to wait and see. Sanford, big impact there. Bobby Jones and Hannah Allen got some damage from that as well. Luke Martin, he was right behind the 4 wide. Dylan Schwallenberg and Dajon Weeks. Just watch this. Yeah, Schwallenberg, I think Weeks actually may have helped me turn the wall right by Luke Martin. Martin gets it back on all 4s and continues on. Anthony Marchese is your race leader over Eric DeMax. Dylan Young in 3rd with Spartan Motorsports. What a heck of a run it is today for that team. A lot of underdog teams having standout performances. It could be a storybook day for these guys. Dom Capps right there in 4th. Cole Baker in 5th. Now Dylan Schwallenberg, we know he took damage. He fell a lap down repairing the car. He's actually running really off the pace here. Really slow. If he doesn't pick it up, oh man, he's really slow. He might. I don't see him reaching minimum speed. I don't see it possible. But everyone to the outside of him is going to split the field up. This could be huge in the Daytona 500 if we do not get another yellow, which it don't look like we're going to go green all the way, but say if we went green the entire way from here, this changes everything in the Daytona 500 if they can't run them back down. But we'll see here. Schwallenberg jumps up in front of Richard Johnson. That is just a Richard Johnson type of move to just have something bad go wrong. He had a bad pit stop, but there's everybody. And Dylan, yeah, he's really slow, but it takes 3 laps to determine if he can reach minimum speed. And Schwallenberg, he's out there trying to get whatever he can, salvage whatever he can, hoping that maybe there'd be a big one. But knowing Dylan Schwallenberg, he'll probably pull it down pit road here soon voluntarily. Everybody's going to get bunched back up together. Marchese, DeMax, there's Silver Fox Caps. Fisher is actually on the lead lap. I thought Jordan Fisher was a lap down, but no, Fisher's in this. Everyone looks like they're going to keep up together. A little further back, Ziamba kind of struggling to keep up with the lead pack just a little bit. Bobby Jones there with Cal Farrell. Farrell's been in a lot of accidents. Same with Hannah Allen. But behind them, Stinson, Cloud, England, Perkins, and Richard Johnson, one of the fastest cars all day, is going to have to try and make something happen. Officials are black flagging Dylan Schwallenberg, and Schwallenberg will have to come down pit road and park it for the day, not reaching minimum speed. Lap car of Dylan Schwallenberg, who was off the pace after that second incident. May have been the third incident. I kind of lost track a little bit, but Ziemba leading this second pack. 24th on down. They're going to need a caution for something big to happen for them to be able to catch back up, because they have properly lost the lead pack. Stunned. Absolutely stunned. Allison Liera, Dylan Young in the lead pack, 3rd and 4th. Now, they will probably struggle at other tracks to get top 10s to score points. This is big for them because the charter system, top 33 charters keep their charter, the bottom 3 lose it, which means the top 3 open cars earn those charters. So they're under fire. Now, they desperately need to score some points, because they're probably going to be one of the ones that are hanging around that borderline of the top 33. They need to have a good day today, because this is going to be their playground. This is going to be their best chance to score points, score top 10s. Eric DeMax, Anthony Marchese, teammates from last season, not anymore. Opposite ends of the spectrum, driving a monster car and a Red Bull car. You know, but Marchese and DeMax, they respect each other, and they're going to race hard together. Allison Liera, though, up the middle, getting pushed by Cole Baker. Dajon Weeks has fought and clawed his way through this pack, and he's got back to the front. His teammate, though, of Richard Johnson in the 37. Where is Richard Johnson? There he is. He's leading this pack, trying to bring them back to the front. Bobby Jones is also back here. MER, no doubt, has been the best team today. And Dajon Weeks, the only one of those cars, well, affiliate teammate Eric DeMax is here with him, but they are super fast. And, well, Will Goss is there. Bobo Jones is fast, too. And surprisingly, Allison Liera is fast, too. A lot of guys can still upset this race in the Daytona 500. 75 laps to go. Not learned from the last time, haven't they? Kurtis, especially, you would think. But 4 wide momentarily on the back straightaway. Dajon Weeks, Eric DeMax, they still lead the way. And it's still Marchese, Bobo Jones, Davidson, Goss. They are right behind these guys. But look at everybody else that are still a little further back as we close in on 70 to go now. Liera's still in this. Dom Capps, DJ Kurtis still in this. Patrick Smith in the 04 knocking on the door. He is in the top 10. Matt Rodriguez, he's been in accidents, but he's here and fighting to get in the top 10 and to win the Daytona 500. James Shelley's been in accidents. He's trying to fight back. Joseph Strigley's been in accidents. They've all fought and clawed their way through something today, and they're trying to capitalize on something. Vince Freeze, Jordan Fisher, teammates there. James Sorfox, been up and down day all day for him. Jacob Hart started out rough, and, well, he's not really recovered since. Mitchell Collins in this as well. Cole Baker, Dylan Young, Harple, Sanford, Acosta, all of them in this fight. 23 cars in the lead pack, while Richard Johnson, one of the dominant cars of the day, is just too fast for these guys. It seems like about 5 car lengths out ahead of the next car, Hannah Allen. And they're just not pulling in. They are losing touch with the lead pack more and more. They're going to need a caution if they want to get back in this. DeMax continues to fight with Dajon, but just can't get around him. Marchese to the inside, but that just only allows Weeks to have an advantage. Oh, but Weeks couldn't clear him. Anthony Marchese's going to take the lead. He's been mixing and shuffling behind Eric DeMax for more than 20 laps. Will Goss and Dajon Weeks very loose on each other there. Very aggressive driving. But DeMax has led this race for a long while now. It's been more than 10 laps at least. With 60 laps to go, slowly these laps are ticking away. And Will Goss has found himself into second position. But Dajon Weeks, one of the fastest cars all day, looking for any way to get by. But Goss is looking for a push from that 30 car. to get up to the lead. Two Mercedes running side by side for second position, and a Dodge leading, but here comes another one. MER's Dajon Weeks to the inside, won the most races last season at 5. If he won 5, for this season, he'd be doing some kind of good, because man, with the less amount of races, 5 races out of 26, 5 races in 20 races, that would be a lot. That's going to be a whole lot in win percentage-wise if that can happen again. Usually champions will score about 5 wins a season, but now the schedule has dropped down to 20 races a year. Not sure how many races somebody can win realistically in one season. Maybe 5 can still be doable, but Weeks coming off of a great year, great Daytona 500 so far. But the last box to check off is to just complete the 200-lap race and win the Daytona 500. Lap car could be a factor. Logan Cloud just up ahead. Logan Cloud's going to play a factor for the leaders. Where's Eric DeMax going to go? DeMax trying to go way high. And Logan Cloud going to the bottom. Marchese darts to the top. And Eric DeMax keeps his lead yet again, controlling both lanes. We've lost a good bit of the pack. We've probably only got like 20 cars in the lead pack, and less cars means less motion in that pack, it's not a lot of runs going on right now in that pack. Ryan Acosta pulling up behind everybody. Sean Harple, Jesse Tunner, that's everybody in the lead pack. And 24th on back. We have 36 cars running right now. And we're coming up on, 3/4 of the way through the Daytona 500, and 36 cars are still left running in the Daytona 500, and 32 of them are on the lead lap. So Marchese takes the lead with Jordan Fisher just behind. Fisher looking for the lead himself. It's been a very competitive Daytona 500. The fact that we still have this many cars running on the lead lap, and pretty competitive to say the least, speaks major volumes of this next-gen race car. They can take some hits, and they can keep on going. Bobo Jones to the inside of Jordan Fisher. Marchese leads the 500. Jones yet again striking a presence at the lead of the pack. We are 3/4 of the way through the Daytona 500, completing lap 150. Bobo Jones tried to lead at the line but couldn't. Here comes Eric DeMax wanting the lead back. DeMax trying to take the lead back with a push from Zayden Davidson. Fisher Motorsports, this is the best thing that they've had going for them in many years now in the Sony Cup Series. Allison Liera in the top 10 in the Daytona 500 has consistently been able to stay up there in the top 10, which is remarkable. Liera passing Shelley and looking to pass Silver Fox. Kurtis here in the 19 has been involved in a lot of accidents, it feels like. And car 19, Kurtis trying to fight his way back. Vince Freeze, we haven't talked about him much either. Car 25 on the inside, Caps and Jacob Hart, Joseph Strictly, Mitchell Collins, Dylan Young, a lot of cars still hanging back. Patrick Smith, Cole Baker. Up front, Eric DeMax. Ow, boy, I thought Allison Liera was going to spin in turn 1. Dajon Weeks backed off. 48 laps to go. Up the middle, Silver Fox pushes Bobo Jones. Silver Fox a little bit indecisive of where he wants to go, middle or the top. Fisher holds his line to the top. He has to stay up there anyway. Shelley, oh, Liera's loose. Here comes Weeks, gonna try and capitalize. But if Weeks isn't careful, he'll take himself out with Liera. Allison Liera and the Ally Do It Right Toyota Camry. Doing it right so far. Keeping that thing up front and in contention to try and get Fisher Motorsports a win in the Daytona 500. Bobo Jones again trying with all his might. Liera cannot keep that car on the bottom no matter how hard she tries. This race is going to start picking up. Bobo Jones slides up in front of Marchese. A good block by Bobo Jones. Bobo Jones' first race with Allen Family Racing Team could find victory lane. Zayden Davidson working on Jones. Wow, this race is starting to pick up just little by little. Less than 50 laps to go. They have to have one more pit stop. Will it be under green? You can see these guys starting to get really loose. The tire wear is very much apparent here in this Daytona 500. Max is really struggling on the bottom with his race car. Marchese up top has help from Bobo Jones. Solarfox has got himself in a good position up top. Gonna probably be able to rim ride the top. Actually lost his buddy. Jordan Fisher's gone up the middle, but Bobo Jones pushes Davidson into the lead. The Daytona 500 will have green flag pit stops shortly, and this is gonna be big. This is gonna be huge in the Daytona 500. To win the Great American Race, you have to get on and off pit road fast and be able to stay in the lead pack when it's all said and done, because we may not get another yellow flag. Dylan Young, a previous 500 winner for Spartan Motorsports, has entered the top 10. Dajon Weeks has beat the back of bumper off of that Ally Toyota, trying to get around Allison Rain. Allison Rain used to be Allison Rain, now it's Allison Liera. DeMax fighting back. 45 laps to go, nearing 4 wide back in where Cole Baker is. Davidson fighting back on the top. Wow, we still have a long ways to go, but this race is going to be getting down to the nitty-gritty here. Pit stops will be looming, and that's going to be the big deal. Is that goes green flag pit stops. Just for a surprise. Will Goss to the inside of Davidson for the lead, but Marchese tried to take it away, couldn't do it. It's Will Goss that takes the lead in the Daytona 500s. Oh, crash! Dom Caps spins off of turn 4. Oh, he's going to get onto pit road anyway. Did the caution come out? No, it did not. No caution flag for that, and he got on pit road fine. Oh my God. Dom Caps, pit, comes across the 43. Mitchell Collins surprises the heck out of him, stalls his momentum, probably going to cause Mitchell Collins to lose out on a Daytona 500 chance. Wow, Dom Caps manages to get on pit road with Anthony Marchese. He's coming down pit road, Zayden Davidson, Sean Harple, Cole Baker, Mitchell Collins comes down pit road. Sean Perkins also is too. There's Dom Caps. Caps beat Marchese off pit road, if that tells you anything. That 6 team is focused on trying to win this Daytona 500. Merging back onto the racetrack is very important. We've seen drivers be very close to having accidents in turn 3, like Dom Caps is trying to merge onto pit road, merge off onto the racetrack, but here comes Dajon Weeks. He's going to come down pit road. Bobo Jones is going to stay out. Weeks, along with Goss. Here comes Solarfox. Solarfox doing a great job trying to get up right to the back bumper of Will Goss. Sanford and Jacob Hart further back trying to get on pit road. Very good. And here comes Allison Liera. Oh, is there crashing further up? Thought somebody had crashed. I saw debris fly everywhere. Dom Caps was the first of the guys that, left pit road. Baker looked like he was about to come down pit road there, but no. Bobo Jones, Eric DeMax, Vince Freeze, Matt Rodriguez. This is for the Daytona 500. Who is going to be able to get on and off pit road first? There's Dom Caps. He's already pitted. There's Jacob Hart, Charles Sanford. Who's next? All these guys, the 30 and the 51. Will Goss got off on and off pit road very well. Will Goss might be in a great position to contend for the Daytona 500. Meanwhile, Sanford and Jacob Hart are probably not in the best position. In the 86, I didn't see him, I don't think, come on pit road, but he is the race leader. Gonna have to wait and see where this all stacks out. There's Eric DeMax, Vince Freeze. DeMax, Shrigley, I don't think's pitted. I really don't, but there's Weeks and Will Goss, along with Davidson, Allison Liera, and James Solarfox. DeMax is going to be with these leaders, I believe. Shrigley is all by himself, has yet to pit in car 86. It's going to be Dajon Weeks in the race lead when it's all said and done, with Davidson, Goss, Liera, and James Solarfox. How is Shrigley still in the lead? Has he yet to pit? I believe so. There's Dane Stinson. There's Jordan Fisher. These guys going to be merging back on the racetrack. There's DJ Kurtis, Ryan Acosta. Oh, Weeks. Oh, you can't afford to make mistakes like that. That really stalled the momentum, but luckily it also stalled the momentum for most other people. There's James Shelley, and Dylan Young. It's actually going to work out fine for a lot of these guys. Shrigley is still the race leader. Looking at the timing and scoring, Shrigley yet to pit, but he's 10 seconds up on Bobby Jones. Let's see where he's at. Bobby Jones, there they are. Car 70, Edward Ziemba second. Hannah Allen third. And Bobby Jones and Samuel England. 5 cars have yet to pit. Different strategies here. And Dylan Young in the 07. There he is. He's actually just now getting past. Davidson is the lead of the cars that have pitted. This should be the lead pack when it's all said and done. Marchese, Bobo Jones, Harple, Rodriguez, and Acosta, they're trying to keep up. DJ Kurtis, I think, lost the draft. Charles Sanford, Logan Cloud's a lap down, but I think they've all lost the draft. It looks that way. Getting on and off pit road is so important. These guys that pitted are now going to be the net race leader when it's all said and done. They shouldn't have to pit again. It is going to be mighty close on fuel strategy. Meanwhile, the 86, 70, 88, 47, 82 cars, they are banking on this going green, and they would have enough fuel to go to the end. However, these guys that just pitted, they're going to be on the borderline to make it on fuel, I believe. Eric DeMax, the net leader, but it's still Shrigley that's out front, old in the booth. That Shrigley, Ziemba, Bobby Jones, Samuel England, Hannah Allen, those 5 came down pit road and topped off with fuel. And that they're trying to stretch it as far as they can on their fuel strategy so that they can be sure that they will make it all the way on this last stop. That those teams, those 5 teams, don't believe if they go green all the way that everyone that pitted will be able to make it. That they're going to have to stop again. Now, very different reports up and down pit road on who can make it all the way on fuel from that run. Davidson, Weeks, and DeMax, Caps, and all these guys are hoping that they can just make it to the checkered flag on fuel, and they won't have to worry about it. But Joseph Shrigley, he should be coming down pit road this lap. Actually, I thought he was going to. Everyone was kind of making room, but Shrigley in the 86 is still the leader. He's trying to keep all these guys a lap down just in case, you know, caution comes out. And he can keep everyone a lap down. There's Bobby Jones, Samuel England. The 88 just pitted, and there's Ziemba. Ziemba just pitted. So, I mean, it's a gamble. They're trying to be able to stretch the fuel. But, I mean, Shrigley is the last car that has yet to pit, and he's in the middle. I'm surprised Shrigley has stayed out this long. He has definitely went a long way on fuel, and they keep giving him the bottom. Somebody looks like they need to come to pit road the way Baker keeps going up to the top. Baker keeps riding the wall like he's about to make room for somebody to pit. I think they keep telling Baker on there that Shrigley's going to have to pit any lap now, and he's up top, so he doesn't want to get held up. He wants to go around him on the top. But it's Dajon Weeks in the net lead. He will be the race leader here in a moment. Is Shrigley out of gas? Shrigley's slowing. Joseph Shrigley is slowing on the back straightaway. Has he ran it too far on fuel? He's trying to make it back pit road. I think he might have overdone his hand just a little bit. He's trying to make it to pit road. He's running out of gas. He'll definitely make it on fuel. Horizon Group doing all they can to make sure that Shrigley can make it to the flag. He will, but I almost think that these guys can too. I don't see why he wouldn't have pitted a few laps earlier. But anyway, it's going to be Dajon Weeks that's going to be out front leading this race when they come back around. Zayden Davidson, Dom Caps, a 2-time 500 winner, is in position to win for the 3rd time. Finished runner-up by a photo finish to Jake Bassinger last year, trying to get the win again. Liera for Fisher Motorsports still holding on strong in this pack with Dylan Young there too. underdogs trying to score points in the Daytona 500. Freeze, Sorefox, Shelley, Baker, DeMax. Bobo Jones is here. Rodriguez is here. Will Goss is running strong. Marchese, there's still a lot of contenders in this lead pack coming down to the stretch of the final laps that could win the Daytona 500. Oh, Shrigley! Shrigley gonna come up in front of the 34, and that's probably gonna hurt their chances to win the Daytona 500 now. Shrigley had to merge up on the racetrack there, but they were already 3 wide. Shrigley's trying to stay with these guys. He doesn't want to lose touch with them. Well, now it's Dajon Weeks, Davidson, Liera, Caps, Freeze, DeMax, Goss, and Dylan Young that are in the lead pack, with Bobo Jones set to try and chase them down. Here we go! Dom Caps pushing up. No way the top 8 are somehow 4 wide for the lead. Dom Caps, we do not need a yellow flag. Need to race this to the checkered flag. I want to see if this is going to be a fuel mileage race. They settle it out. There was no way 8 cars going somehow 4 wide for a moment for the lead. You see the drivers that are going to contest the win of the Daytona 500. You have Weeks, Davidson, Caps, Liera, Freeze, DeMax, Goss, and Young. A lot of these guys, I think, would just be content with a top 10 finish to know they'll score points. That 22-07 for sure. 51 Will Goss, I think, would love to score some points to keep that team, get some points on the board, know they'll be one of the teams that have a top 10 this season. But the Daytona 500 is on the line. Shade Eves, a little slow. He may come into play in the final laps. Jake Bassinger, Cal Farrell. Anyway, these 8, Bobo Jones, Anthony Marchese, with less than 25 laps to go. I do not think they'll be able to run them down. They don't look like they got enough people in that pack. It's Jones, Marchese, Sorefox, Shelley, Shrigley, Harple, and they're losing time. They're losing time. Cole Baker and Rodriguez there too. They're losing time to the leaders. Dajon Weeks in a prime position to win his first Daytona 500, but looking at everyone else in this pack, other than Dylan Young and Dom Caps and Eric DeMax, those 3 alone, we have 5 drivers in the lead pack that have never won a Daytona 500, and Allison Liera. Holy cow, Allison Liera for Fisher Motorsports lost the draft in her qualifying race, has been really slow in preseason testing, is in 3rd in the podium positions. We knew she led early, but we're closing up on 20 laps to go in the Daytona 500, and with only 8 cars in this pack, she's in a good position to try and win the Daytona 500. Shade Eves going a lap down just ahead of them. Zayden Davidson with a push from Eric DeMax, and Davidson's going to take the lead of this 8-car pack, with Eric DeMax just up behind. Allison Liera with a push from the Flipside Motorsports Mercedes. This is such a cool little 8-car pack that we have racing for the lead. Logan Cloud leaving pit road. Some sort of issue there for Cloud trying to leave pit road. But I'm very curious to see if these guys can even make it all the way on fuel. They definitely should, but the way these guys were trying to stay out, stretch it on fuel, not entirely convinced that these teams know if they can make it or not. Eric DeMax with a push from Dajon goes to the inside of Zayden Davidson, and Dajon Weeks looked like he wanted to take a peek to the inside of the 18, but tucks right back on in. All 8 drivers know they'll score some points today if they can finish out just like this. They're pulling the gap. Actually, Bobo Jones pulled up a little bit on the back of Shade Eves, but Eves will slow them down just a little bit here. Ooh, almost a problem there. But we will come into contact with lap traffic once again. The Sharpie Ford and the Chevron Toyota. Cal Farrell, Jake Bassinger, lap cars They will be dealt with again. Davidson to the inside of DeMax, trying to take the lead once again. Lap traffic. Davidson got held up by Bassinger and Farrell just enough. And Weeks to the inside for the lead. Dajon Weeks takes the lead yet again in the Daytona 500. Will Goss trying to follow that momentum to the inside of Weeks. Weeks slams the door. Trying to make it on fuel strategy to steal the win in the Daytona 500. I don't know if I'd go 4 wide and risk a yellow flag, but that's what Shrigley's doing. Plus, they're not even in the lead pack. Oh, he almost came up into Cole Baker. Baker and Shelley rubbing doors. Marchese might lift a little bit here to let him in. Yeah, I mean, this is the fight currently to get the last couple spots in the top 10. So Shrigley is now inside the top 10, but wow, that was very aggressive. And right now they're losing more and more time to the leaders. Dajon Weeks with 15 laps to go now, ahead of Vince Freeze. What it would be like a feel-good story if Vince Freeze could win the Daytona 500. The Coca-Cola Mitsubishi, trying to get a push from Will Goss, has taken the lead yet again. Zayden Davidson passing Weeks with 12 laps to go. Weeks back to the bottom. Zayden Davidson, Dajon Weeks, Vince Freeze, Will Goss. Those front 4, never a winner in the 500. Allison Liera the same way, but DeMax, Caps, and Young trying to push their way forward. Davidson, a little bit of a side draft on Dajon through the tri-oval, trying to peek back out ahead, but Goss trying to do a crossover on Weeks, but Weeks wasn't having none of that. Will Goss, the Flipside Motorsports second-year team. This is basically the sister team to Cybertron Motorsports. You would think Goss would be trying to help Davidson, but he's after the 500. He wants to win this race. He's getting a push from Vince Freeze. Freeze's old teammate Dom Caps is there. Coming back to the line to be 10 laps to go. Dajon Weeks is in one of the best positions to finally win the Daytona 500 after many years of effort. Leads over the line ahead of Will Goss and Zayden Davidson. The best person, the person that's sitting in one of the best positions is Joseph Shrigley. Shrigley is sitting in one of the best spots, and he's not even in the lead pack. That's the thing. I'm very concerned about the fuel mileage. I don't know if these guys can make it. They're going to try it, and they'll probably get very close. Some people may run out. Some people may be able to go the whole way. But Shrigley in the 86 is the first of those that we truly believe can make it without having to stop again. And he's riding in 10th, the last car in the points. And, well, these guys are going to fight it out to try and get something out of this. But for the Daytona 500 crown, I don't know if these guys are going to be willing to ride and accept some points. They want to win the biggest prize of them all. Davidson to the inside. He had such a terrible year last year. And Davidson would love nothing more than to cap off with winning the Daytona 500 for Cybertron Motorsports. Bring it home for them. And to lead the championship heading to Dubai. Dajon Weeks wants to do that. He wants it for himself. Will Goss in the 51 and Vince Freeze right there. They could upset here. Eric DeMax falls back. No help. Freeze has help from Dylan Young. Going to the inside of Will Goss. Allison Liera kind of struggling a little bit again with hanging on to this pack. Oh, we do have lap traffic. Aiden Shepard may play a factor in who wins the Daytona 500 as they come across the line. Only 6 laps remaining in the Daytona 500. Dajon Weeks won the season finale of the 2022 season at Atlanta to win his 5th race of the season. Had a miserable championship bid fall away from him at the very end. And this is a brand new year. Monster Energy Racing has looked so fast. On the back straightaway, nothing. He just blows right by Aiden Shepard. No problems there. Shepard, probably the best lap car these guys have dealt with. They're single file behind the leader. Dylan Young, Dom Caps, they're a long ways back. Are they trying to save some fuel here? Can they possibly be trying to save fuel behind Dajon Weeks? Weeks has probably got the worst fuel mileage right now. But yeah, it's going to be very close. I think they'll make it. I think they're going to make it. Further back, though, it's the 44 and the 83 in the top 10. Shrigley's hoping everyone runs out. Dajon Weeks and Zayden Davidson. It's probably Davidson and Max that have been the closest competitors for Dajon Weeks. Davidson's actually been able to pass Dajon Weeks here. Look at the run he gets. The Mercedes are really good on these kind of speedways. Monster Energy Racing's never really been that good on the super speedways until this Speed Weeks. They've had pace with Richard Johnson. And look at Vince Freeze! Freeze 3 wide! Freeze just stalled out his momentum, though. It's like hitting a wall, like hitting the air right there. It's like hitting a wall. Oh, and DeMax! DeMax goes high. Allison Liera's there. Look at the run Liera has. Davidson clears Weeks. Somehow, Vince Freeze helped Davidson clear Dajon Weeks for the lead. It'll be 3 to go at the line. 3 laps to go at the stripe. Weeks to the inside, coming back for the lead. Allison Liera, Dylan Young, pushing Vince Freeze. Oh yeah, they definitely have enough fuel here. With 3 laps to go, there's no way you're lifting now. You're going to the end. If you run out, you run out. With 3 laps to go, Dajon Weeks is back out front. Vince Freeze trying to get position. He's got Allison Liera and Dylan Young there. Eric DeMax looking up the middle. DeMax looking for some help. Oh, look at this run by Zayden Davidson. Davidson to the inside of Dajon Weeks. Side by side through 3 and 4. Davidson has the run. I think he's going to get by him. Eric DeMax trying to push Dajon Weeks back out front. Dom Caps, Liera, they're just looking for something, looking for a run. Weeks has the help from DeMax. DeMax and Goss, the top side's where you need to be. 2 to go. Dajon Weeks trying to hang on. Round the outside, he's clear. How about it, though? Allison Liera, Dylan Young in the top 10 and going to score points in the Daytona 500 if they can just make another lap and a half. But Eric DeMax, can he steal it away? He's clear. He's got Will Goss behind him. Goss looks for a run to the inside. Will Goss in the Daytona 500 for Flipside has gotten to the inside of Eric DeMax. He's drafting up behind of Dajon Weeks. Weeks slides up to give DeMax the draft. DeMax clears Goss again. The white flag flying one more time around. The Daytona 500 has eluded Dajon Weeks for many years. He's led so many times the Daytona 500, dominated for Yant Motorsports for many years. He's got to fend off Eric DeMax. One last try. Davidson has backed up, but it's going to be very hard to do anything there to get the lead. But Eric DeMax, can he do anything from second position this time? Dajon Weeks going to have to throw a block on Eric DeMax. Through 3 and 4. Dajon Weeks and Eric DeMax. DeMax doesn't have anything for Dajon Weeks to the start-finish line, and Dajon Weeks is going to win the 27th annual Daytona 500. They made it on fuel, and it's Dajon Weeks that wins over Eric DeMax in second for Joseph Shrigley Racing. Zayden Davidson comes home on the podium in third. Will Goss is going to score points in fourth. Big day for that team. For Flipside, that's their first top 10. That's their first ever top 10 in the Sony Cup Series. Dom Caps for Team Velocity and Mitsubishi. It's the lead Mitsubishi coming home in fifth. The next Mitsubishi is Vince Freeze coming home in sixth. Allison Liera, Dylan Young, 7th and 8th. That is huge for them. Huge for the charter battle. The 22 and the 07. And further back in the second pack, Bobo Jones and Joseph Shrigley round out the top 10 in scoring points. Dajon Weeks finally wins the Daytona 500. Last year, it was Jake Bassinger winning the Daytona 500, and Bassinger went on to win the championship. Dajon Weeks is hoping the same thing can happen to him this year, winning the Daytona 500 with affiliate teammate Eric DeMax coming in behind him. Man. So we head to Dubai, and Dajon Weeks will be the point leader heading into there. And wow, what a race. Had so many cars finish at the end of that one. A lot of action, but this new next-gen car really held up, and it was very durable. And it could take a hit. It really could take a hit, but we're still waiting on word from Peter Onjak from the start. He took a heck of a hit, and it probably needed to give a little more than that, but and we're hoping for the best for Peter Onjak. He took a heck of a hit on lap 2, but everyone else, I mean, it was a scrap all day long. Some of these guys took hits and spun out a lot, but still managed to come away with a top 10 today. But that was it. That was the Daytona 500 and victory for Monster Energy Racing and Dajon Weeks. They finally have done it. And congratulations to Weeks on winning the Daytona 500. Let's get you to our finishing results and standings after round 1.